You see, in order to justify committing an atrocity or doing something terrible to a group of people, you first have to dehumanize that group in the minds of the populace. Because most people are decent, or at least aspire to be decent, if you want to get people to be complicit in or even an active participant in something like a genocide, you have to spin a story and get people to believe that that group of people that you want to genocide has either committed heinous crimes or will commit heinous crimes if left unchecked. And that's why I'm absolutely incensed when I see content like this.
Yes, for centuries, white Europeans and white Americans practiced cannibalism.
Within the first 2 seconds, he has to mention white people, how white people practice cannibalism, with no mention of the degree to which it was practiced or other non-white cultures who practice cannibalism. He's trying to paint whites and Europeans as barbaric monsters. But guess what? This isn't a white-only phenomenon. In the modern-day Democratic Republic of Congo and Papua New Guinea, cannibalism is still practiced. The island Carib people of the Caribbean practice cannibalism. It's a matter of record that there were literal flesh markets in Melanesia, and it was practiced in New Guinea and the Solomon Islands. It's beyond dispute that American Indian tribes and the indigenous peoples of South America practice cannibalism. The only dispute is as to the degree and the purpose of that cannibalism. The Japanese seem to have practiced a fair degree of cannibalism in the Second World War, and I could go on.
This was practiced all the way up until the 1900s. The field of medicine was really weird before the existence of germs were confirmed in the late 1800s. One popular medicine was eating humans. Every single part of the human body was believed to cure something if you consumed it. This is actually what happened to the bodies of many Egyptian mummies.
Yeah, citation needed, buddy, because try as I might, I can't find any evidence of widespread or large-scale cannibalism happening in Europe or the United States into the 20th century. And again, I can't find much credible information as to the prevalence of medical cannibalism among European population sets, but let me tell you why I don't think it was very widespread, at least on the American continent. I'm sure you've heard of the Donner Party or the Franklin Expedition. If you haven't, all you really need to know is that these were groups of people who got themselves stranded in the wilderness and eventually had to resort to cannibalism. The reason that such a small group of people getting themselves stuck somewhere gained such notoriety to the point that people like you and I would know about them in the modern day is because they had to resort to cannibalism, and because that is so shocking and horrifying to modern European or American sensibilities. Again, modern as in, like, after the Enlightenment era. Yeah, so to a degree, this is true. Yeah, Europeans believed some dumb things prior to the advent of modern medicine, and yes, to a degree, medicinal cannibalism, insofar as people were drinking blood or consuming ground up bones or things of that nature, did happen. But this wasn't cannibalism for sustenance or ritual religious cannibalism as you saw in other societies at the time. And this is to say nothing about the practitioners of medical cannibalism after germ theory and into the modern era.
It's also believed that the bodies of many lynching victims in the United States were used to make medicinal products. One of the most famous examples is the lynching of Nat Turner. According to witnesses, his body was used to make medicinal grease.
So this is a dubious claim at best. I've traced his claim here that Nat Turner was turned into grease or castor oil down to two sources. One is one John Cromwell in the Journal of Negro History in 1920, and the other is in a book called The Southampton Insurrection by William Sidney Drury. While yes, it's true that these claims are in historical texts, that doesn't necessarily make them true. Neither of these people cite their claims. They just submit it as fact without actually admitting into evidence any sort of factual basis or eyewitness accounts for those claims. Now, it seems likely, based on the historical evidence, that lynching victims were dismembered from time to time, and perhaps Some people took souvenirs from the dismemberments, but the idea that these people were cannibalized is on its face stupid. It's people parroting fantastical claims for notoriety without any actual basis in fact. It's the same thing with the claims of buck breaking recently by that Tariq Nasheed hack. And people like you just parrot that stuff back without caring whether or not it's true because you just want to slander white people and stoke racial hatred.
And germ theory wasn't developed until the 1870s, so this practice didn't die out until the early 1900s.
This is deliberate and carefully crafted sophistry that at last count reached something like 84,000 people. He links no sources for his fantastical claims. He gives the illusion of citation via out-of-context screenshots with his head covering most of the text. And he leaves you, the viewer, to do the research to verify or reject his ridiculous claims, which most people aren't going to do because it's actually a tremendous amount of work to try and debunk even a video this short. And furthermore, he knows what he's doing. He knows who his audience is. For whatever reason, he's intentionally stoking racial hatred, and his viewers are just looking for yet another reason to hate white people so they don't look too closely at the information they're provided. This stuff is so dangerous and so awful that not only should he be able to be held civilly liable for libel, and make no mistake, that's what this is, libel like this, he should be held criminally liable. Like in 2020, there were riots across the country because of racial animus and lies like this. Cities burned, people died, people's livelihoods were ruined, all because of lies like this. You want to continue to tell them? Well, off to the gulag with you. Maybe a decade in a lithium mine will straighten you out. This guy in particular has made a lot of content like this, so rest assured, I'm going to be addressing him again in the future, but variety's the spice of life, right? If you guys find any other content in this same vein, go ahead and send it my way. I'd be truly grateful. Now, I've repeatedly reached out to the creator of this content and offered to go on politically provoked or modern day debates with him to talk this out, but he's ignored me so far. Suffrage Church, if you're watching, that offer will always stand. If you've watched to this point, chances are you've enjoyed the video, so go ahead and leave a like, subscribe, and comment below. If you hated the video, please go ahead and whinge and complain in the comments. I can't tell you how much I truly enjoy that. With that, I'm Jim Dewey, and this has been Combating the Narrative.